Offensive recruiting coordinator, Tashard Choice. Open right up for questions for Coach Choice.
Coach Choice, I'm working on a feature on Zach Quinney. Can you just talk about what type of teammate he is?
Quinney has been somebody who's been a surprise and pleasantly for us. You know, the fact that he had a good spring, but being able to hold his weight, being able to play the position, and the transition as far as doing things that he hasn't done in the past or recently, he's doing pretty well at it. And the communication with the running backs and protection, just understanding fronts, understanding defenses, he's doing a really good job for us in that aspect. And as a kid that's quiet, just goes about his work, and every day you just see him show up. So it's one of the kids that, you know, is going to be one of the foundations for this offense.
Jordan's been a guy who's really kind of blossomed as the season started. And kind of what are you seeing from him, and what does he need to work on to get better as well?
Doing some really good things. He has to play better away from the football. Just always can increase or be better at pass protection, and just doing all the little things. You know, in the course of a football game, he gets a lot of credit for runs or different things, but he has to do all those little things if you want to be great. Playing on special teams, doing all the little things as a running back can help you. Because all special teams are just an aspect of being a running back, being able to block the run and doing certain things of that aspect. So if I was to tell him anything, he's doing a good job breaking tackles. He's running really hard. He's playing big time in critical situations. But he has to do that all game and, you know, just continue to do it from the beginning to the end. You know, so.
Ellison's a kid that looked like he was making some good progress, then he missed some time. He's back now. How is he doing?
He's doing very well. I'm very pleased at how he's done this summer with his conditioning. You could tell that he's been really coached up well from his high school, Bathroom Trails, I think that's the name of it, in Jacksonville. And so you can understand he's come from a good coaching background. He's come in, he learns the plays, he works his tail off. If he's on the development team or if he comes up there with me, he does his job, and so he has the respect of all the other players that's in the room, and that's the biggest thing, you know, coming as a freshman. So anytime I ask him to do anything, nothing is too little and nothing is too big for that kid. So he's going to be a good kid for the program. I'm blessed to have him. You
haven't had really an opportunity to have enough snaps to rotate guys, particularly this last game. You had guys at 47, 46 offensive snaps. Mm-hmm. What do you kind of say to those guys to keep them motivated, or is it internal motivation for those guys?
Yeah, just got to work. You know what I mean? In situations where you have the ball 49 times, we have 49 snaps on the offensive side of the ball. You know, you have to earn those. Everything that you do on the football field, you have to earn it. And so during the week or the course of the week, those guys earn those reps. And so you want to get guys in and give guys breathers, the guys who have worked their tail off to get there, and all my guys in my room have. And so it's just a competition factor. The best are going to play. And everybody, when they get opportunity, you better do your best, because that's ultimately what you get judged on. And so the more you can play on teams, the more opportunity you'll get on the offensive side of the ball first. And so we preach that to our players, and special teams is a priority for us here. And so to make sure they understand they do that first to get on the football field, because Nate Cottrell is one of those guys that he continues to show up on special teams, and once he continues to show up, have an opportunity to get on the offensive side of the ball, and he works his tail off. And so guys like that, man, I have nothing but respect for, and I tell them that on a daily.
During the game, like, how are you making those decisions about, you know, this next series or next play or whatever, we're going to make sure that so-and-so gets in? Or
I just have plays. It's more, you have series where you have guys you want to get in, but it's more on the concept of the play. Some guys' strengths and weaknesses are better on some plays, some on different ones. And so you want to get guys in to rotate, but ultimately it's that they make plays. And if I go in, if you see a guy and he's not lined up fast enough, or something happened during the game, he make an MA, you can see it early on in the game. And so the being ready is the most part, but going in there and doing your job. And so you have a way that I want to sub guys or substitute them in, but ultimately the game figures out. If it's crunch time, you're going to go with the guy you trust the most, the guy that put in the most effort during the week. And so you factor all that in, and you just continue to try to get the guys to put the best foot forward during practice. So when that crunch time comes, like in the last play of the game, I put Jerry in the game. You know what I mean? So it's just all the figures how well they do in practice for certain situations.
I guess in that, what have you kind of learned from your group now 3 games in that you maybe couldn't learn in practice?
They're really they're really collectively as a group together. And I love it. When one guy's doing really well, they over there cheering them on. They always talking positive to each other. Nobody is negative. Everybody understands because I'm always truthful with my players. And I think that's one thing they respect about me, because anytime, if anything that's in the gray area or something they need to know, they could come up and talk to me. So the fact that how close they are, I told them if they all gang up and fight against me, that's good. But the whole point is I want them to be together. You know what I mean? And so that's one thing I've learned, and how well they work together, how they pushing each other, and they come into their own as a group. And so, you know, as more and more we get into the years with these guys, it's going to be fun to watch, to see the process of them grow and mature, and the discipline and the expectations that we have set for this running back room will be pretty high.
How's your
Are Dante and Griffin two guys that you'd like to see what they can do out in space because of their shiftiness, speed, that type of thing?
Oh, absolutely. We try to, you want to get, Dante is an electric player. I think with the ball in his hands, he has to continue to work, make sure you do the little things right, but I think he can get out in space. I think he can make people miss. Jemiah's the same thing, just to make sure his attention to detail is there, but the kid is very talented. I can't wait to let them roll, but they're going to have to earn it. And so that's the biggest thing, and I think they respect that the most, and they'll tell you that. Those guys work their tail off every day for me, and when their time comes, I hope they're ready. I know they will be ready, but because I'm not letting them take any shortcuts. Just because you're not the first guy on the field, you got to prepare like the starter. And I tell them all that way, because you never know when you're going to have to maximize your reps and be the bell cow or the guy running the ball for us in the fourth quarter. So each guy got to be ready to go at any time, and I'm proud of their progress, to be honest with you. I really am.
with Jemiah's the humbling of not playing and that kind of thing, and then playing teams and all that? How have you seen him kind of handle that?
He's awesome. That dang Jemiah Griffin is an awesome character kid. He's raised the right way from his family. He comes in to work. I can coach him really, really hard. And see, one thing people don't understand, expectations is a lot. Being a Gatorade Player of the Year, and he wants to get on the field, but he's getting better. And so once he come out, he's going to be like a animal locked up. He's going to come out going. And so for me, it's just to continue to get him better, to see it. And he understands the process. And he's not a selfish dude. And so it's so good to have a kid with that type of character for us. Because once he gets an opportunity, he'll remember when he came in, it wasn't given to him, that he had to work. And so once you get an opportunity and you do get the football and you do run, you will always remember the times where you didn't. So it'll make you never ease into anything. It'll always be one of those things where I got to go as hard as I can because somebody else is coming for me. As long as they have that attitude, I'm good. Because the second you ease up, the second somebody's coming for you. And I love that kid, though. Great, great kid. Awesome.
A couple more for Coach Bruce.
Is he someone that had you had more plays, either South Florida or Citadel, that he would have gotten anything, or is that?
Yeah, and that goes for most of the guys. We're gonna, as we continue to evolve, because it's a short season, and so you really can't judge it on certain things, because in the Florida game we was in the fourth quarter trying to win a football game. Last week we was down the whole time, and you didn't know how many possessions you get, because most of the time against those teams you likely get about 8 possessions, and so you was trying to filter it in. But in the fourth quarter you don't want to put them in positions where they can fail. You really like running backs to get in position so they can get used to it for a little bit and get a little rhythm. And so up to me, I got to get them guys in early, but more importantly, I got to get them to stay locked in during the game, because if they do come in certain situations, they got to be ready to perform. But they're doing a good job. And as the season go on, you're going to see those guys get in, and we'll see what they can do. I'm excited for them.
I'm curious, this is obviously your first time with Coach Collins and all these coaches, but also this team, and I'm curious how you saw Coach Collins kind of respond to what happens Saturday, but also the kids and the kind of, yesterday and today and in practice.
As Coach Collins being the leader, he took the blame, but I take it. So just as my leader, one thing I've learned is that he is a guy that doesn't look for anybody to give him any kind of pat on the back or get any kind of slack. He'll take it all himself. And so for me, when we lose a football game, I'm blaming myself in my room. And I told guys that you point your finger at somebody or something else, you got 3 coming back at you. And so for me, That's the biggest thing I learned as a football player from my mom since Little League. Mom, he should have dropped that pass. And my mom said, well, you should have ran for another touchdown. So it was one of those deals where it was like, okay, you do more. You know what I mean? And so the kids, no matter how sad they are, I told them it was my fault. But I wanted them all to feel like it was their fault. So ultimately, it makes you work harder. And it makes you, whatever things you see somebody, you need to pick up slack or do more, you'll do it for yourself, for the betterment of the team. And that's what Coach Collins has preached. And one thing that I've learned as a coach is to always find the good in every situation. You know what I mean? Be optimistic and you're critical. You're critical of mistakes, you're critical of things that we did wrong in the game, but to ultimately try to build those guys up, because it's going to be so great as this process going. I remember those times just like I did when I was at North Texas and we was 0-11 the year before. I had to come back and work our way back up and win in the conference. It's one of those deals you have to go through. And for those guys, it was a good learning experience, but for them to stay together and for them to understand us coaches to continue to keep coaching them hard, that's what we're going to have to do again.
I mean, it seemed like no one was having to get on to get his kid today. It seemed like...
Oh, no. It's football, baby. Look, I'm blessed. I wake up this morning, I get to run to the stadium. I got 2 feet, 2 arms, 2 eyes. I can run and have fun, and I have to let them understand that. Because one time I was with the Cowboys, and we went in training camp and went over to a children's hospital where kids couldn't even do anything. Kids have cancer. So you complaining, get out of bed. Go back to work. Let's do what we got to do. You know what I mean? And so they really buying into that and they getting better, man. So I'm pleased. I'm proud of them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.